Erev Shabbat Shalom, Riverdale Minyan. It was great to see so many of you last night, and it's wonderful to celebrate Tu B'Shvat and Shabbat with you. Some thoughts on Parashat Bishalach, which is chock full of things to think about. For one, speaking for myself, we've been thinking a lot recently about big issues. Who will lead the government of the United States of America, and how will that go? What will happen in the Middle East? Will there be peace achieved there? Will there be health all over the world? And I think sometimes these big issue thoughts, and it's quite understandable that we're thinking that way, make us lose sight, and we just don't have mental energy to think about the small things, the little things, the small interactions, which make life so rich and so important. Amanda Mull wrote a fascinating article in The Atlantic that I saw this week called The Pandemic. The pandemic has erased entire categories of friendship. And she talks about not the people who we're closest to. We FaceTime with them. We see them when we can in safe ways. But it's the people who are at the periphery of our existence, what psychologists call the weak ties, the electrician, the checkout person at the grocery store, who we normally would have interactions with and maybe exchange a few key moments with, the people at work who we don't see anymore now. Those have been eliminated, and we're missing that. And that's our lives are the poorer for it, and we suffer psychologically as a result. So because we're thinking the big things, we're not able to focus on the little things, and that is something that I think our Parsha can remind us about. When the people finish crossing Yam Suf, a big thing, they get to a place called Marah, and they complain. This is the first of their kvetchings that occurs in the Parsha. They complain that the water doesn't taste good. It's bitter. That's why the waters were called Marah. And Hashem could have caused a giant miracle. He could have split the sea, could have split the waters of Marah in half. He could have caused a giant miracle to happen, but he did something very small. He said, Moshe, you see that little bush, that little tree over there? Take that, throw it into the water, and that will sweeten the water. The Netziv, Rav Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, in Ha'emek Davar, says, in the natural world, God often places the solutions right next to the problems. You just have to know to look for them. Moshe didn't know where to look, so Hashem had to show him. And I thought, actually, of the scientists who were able to find just the right solution to the problem that we're now facing as a world and be able to work on that. So God didn't do it dramatically. He did it small. It was a piece of wood that you would overlook. The Chizkuni said that Hashem wanted to show Moshe that miracles don't have to happen in big, dramatic, Cecil B. DeMille level all the time. They can happen derech hateva. They can happen naturally. It's a small miracle. What we would call something natural. In his excellent book that I'm only this far into, brand new, 20 years in the making, Dr. Leon Kass he wrote an excellent commentary on the book of Genesis 20 years ago, and now he's come out with Founding God's Nation, Reading Exodus. And he says, he connects the experience of the Jewish people at Marah, and then the next story is when they arrive and they find 12 springs of water and 70 Timarim, and that's connected to the 70 souls that went down to Mitzrayim and the 12 Shvatim. He connects that back, Dr. Kass, to the story of Hagar and Ishmael. And he says hope is the necessary condition of deliverance, because deliverance is often at hand if you don't despair and you're willing to look for it. But it's about focusing on those little things, not the big, epic, massive things in our lives, but the little things. What Tu B'Shvat is a celebration not of our redemption from slavery, or not of praying for the entire world as it stands in judgment, but it's a day about small things, about a plant, about a tree, about how an apple tastes, about a new fruit. And one of the things we explored in our Tu B'Shvat Seder is focusing on those small things that we don't always focus on, whether it's the tree's shade when we sit in the park, or the feeling of peace that we get if we go on a hike with our family and you don't hear the sound of the cars around and you just hear the wind going through the grass or through the trees. We've lost sight of those things for understandable reasons. We've lost those weak ties that Amanda Mull is writing about. But Tu B'Shvat is a chance to remind ourselves of those and gives us hope as the days start to turn a little longer and things maybe start to get a little warmer, that the world also will get warmer and the days will get longer and we will get healthier. She writes at the end of her piece, Amanda Mull, the end of our isolation could be the beginning of some beautiful friendships. And I hope that we can find that inspiration in Parashat Bishalach. We can think about Tu B'Shvat as focusing on those small little things that sometimes we overlook, those weak ties, and we can appreciate how much they offer us and how much support they give us in our lives. Shabbat Shalom.